24 thrones, and upon the thrones I saw 24 elders sitting, clothed in white garments and crowned with golden crowns. Out from the throne comes flashes of lightning and sounds and peals of thunder. And there were 7 lamps of fire burning before the throne, which are the 7 spirits of God. And before the throne was something like a sea of glass, like crystal. In the center and around the throne, 4 living creatures full of eyes in front and behind. The 4 creatures were like a lion, and the first creature was like a lion, and the second creature like a calf, and the third creature had the face like a man, and the fourth creature was like a flying eagle. And the 4 living creatures, each one of them having 6 wings, are full of eyes around and within, and day and night they do not cease saying, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord God the Almighty, who was and who is to come. And when the living creatures give glory and honor and thanks to him who sits on the throne, to him who lives forever and ever, the 24 elders will fall down before him who sits on the throne and will worship him who lives forever and ever, and will cast their crowns before the throne, saying, Worthy are you, O Lord, our God, to receive glory and honor and power. For you created all things, and because of you, and because of your will, they exist and were created. Let's pray together. God, your scripture is so powerful, and you're so big and other that our minds can't comprehend you. And so it's interesting in Revelation in the way that things are revealed in ways that I'm sure John struggled to even put into words what he was seeing. You're just so other. Help us to be able to, as much as possible, through the Spirit, wrap our minds and our hearts and our spirit around what you would share with us through the reading of Revelation and what you've shared through John. God, give our pastor wisdom as he teaches, and open our hearts. In Jesus' name, amen.
Hope you are having a good, or had a good week, or headed into a good week. Either way, both, right? Yeah, hopefully you've had a good week and a good weekend. It's nice and cool out there, so that's good. Man, it's hot, and I saw this week, I think I saw this week 107 is a projected high for either Monday or Tuesday, 107. And I think as long as the outside temperature is not above your normal body temperature, around 100, it's okay. You can fight through it. When it gets up a few degrees above that, your body's ability to keep your body cool enough in the middle of that is hard. I was out in the sun for 7 hours yesterday, and it's just brutal hot. So, yeah, it's warm out there. So stay safe. Fortunately, you don't have to mow because the grass is dying because it hadn't rained, right? So it's like cut down on my yard work. I'm mowing about every 2 to 3 weeks now. In fact, I'll probably get to go a couple of weeks without mowing again because it's just not growing very fast right now. And I'm watering it a little bit. I don't want it to die, but still, it's a lot less mowing when it's this hot. But yeah, it's hot out there. This is the hottest summer I remember in a while. And so be safe out there. Be safe. Let's see. So we're working through Revelation chapter 5, and we're going to launch into that a little bit. Hopefully you're doing well. There's a clipboard pass around if you have some prayer needs. I'm so thankful for Toby's grace and the way he is checking in on you guys, and just so if you have prayer needs, and so the email's going out, and I've been praying for some of you guys. There were some job needs, there were some health needs, praying obviously for Levi's family, for the Walkers, as they, Livianne and Russ Marabelli, that was her dad, Levi. And so we'll be praying for them. I meet with her tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. to kind of talk through the service. And then services Friday. Also get the video going. We need to get the memorial video working on that. But the service is Friday here at 11. And then I think they're going out to National at 2. And so working on those things. And then the following week, another member of our Sunday school gathering is Bascom. His funeral will be the following Friday, the 29th, July 29th. And I think it's at 10 a.m. for that one. And Jeff Morris is back in order to lead worship for that memorial service. And so I'm looking forward to seeing Jeff. And so that'll be engaging. Those of you who don't know Jeff, because there are a bunch of people in the room who don't know who Jeff is. That's crazy. Anyway, if you don't know Jeff is our worship leader for about, 8 years, something like that. And recently, year and a half ago, took a call to lead worship back in Florida, where he and his wife are both from that area, the Lakeland, Tampa, Orlando area, and he got a spot there. Really good spot for him. Miss him. He's great, but I'm glad for them that they've kind of connected with family and serving at a really good church there. So miss him, but I think he's in a good spot. And but anyway, so Jeff will be back next week in order to help lead that memorial service. So that'll be fun. I think, Ron, you and Jeff may be playing. I think you and Jeff may play a little in that service. Yeah. So Ron will play harmonica, and I think Jeff will play guitar. And, so I think that'll be cool. So yeah. Anyway, what else is going on? You guys okay? It's hot. School, we have 4 weeks till school starts back, I think. 4 or 5. 2, there ain't students showing up, though, right? You at least don't have students yet? Okay, because there's a big deal between going back to work and they're there. I'm not saying going back to work isn't still something. I'm just saying the something gets more intense when they're actually in the building, too. It's probably more fun, but also more intense. Yeah. I like having the students, too. I teach here some, and then this year I'm hoping that I'm not. So here, I think I've passed that on to other people. I had a deal with my wife that if I was going to coach, I started a new homeschool baseball team, and if I was going to coach it, I had to give something up. And my agreement with her was I would resign from teaching classes at MRA, and instead I will only keep my DBU math class or 2. So that's the only. And she goes, if you do that, and you can help Michael, because Michael's classes are on Tuesday, Thursday mornings, which is when I'm normally teaching at MRA. Well, Michael has government and Tuesday, Thursday mornings, so I want to be able to help him with his government class. So she's like, you can coach baseball, but you got to be able to help Michael. I was like, okay. So anyway, I started a new homeschool baseball team, and it's fun. I love coaching baseball, and I got this whole discipleship program worked out, and really looking forward to that. And then Michael moves out August 20th. No, this is terrible. I think Kim and I are both, we're really struggling with this idea that in 5 weeks he will move out. Like, we're struggling with this. Michael and I are really close. And and we do a lot of stuff together. And so this is going to be really, really hard. Austin moved out and went to Washita. That was hard. And then, yes. I am. I'm just going to miss him. Yeah, it's not a, oh, I wish he wouldn't do it. I'm glad he's doing it. But it's just, my heart tells me I'm going to miss hanging out with him as much as I do. So, like yesterday, I went and watched him play a couple of games yesterday and talk to him between games, and he'll text me. It's funny, I show up to this game, and it was a $10 entrance fee, and I had forgotten I hadn't gotten any cash. And I'm in Ranger, Texas. You know where Ranger, Texas is? In the middle of nowhere, out I-20, drive until there's only tumbleweeds kind of thing. And then, so I'm in Ranger, Texas, and so I go to the bank. I'm like, I guess I got to get cash. I mean, it's not my bank either. I have to pay the stupid ATM fees on it. But I forgot about it. I hardly ever take cash anywhere. But they wanted cash. So I go to the bank, get cash. And about the time I pull back in, I look at my phone, and Michael's like, can you get me some food? So now I'm going to be scrounging around Ranger, Texas, trying to find food, which involved going to a gas station and going, all right, what do you got? There's some chips M&Ms, Slim Jims. I mean, like, it was terrible. Like, it was the worst. Any dietitian would have looked at me like, what is wrong with you? But I'm at a gas station. What am I going to do in Ranger, Texas? Not like there was a Subway nearby or some kind of food establishment. There wasn't even a McDonald's in Ranger. So I couldn't go anywhere. I had to go to the gas station. So I'm just in the gas station just grabbing random things. I'm sure the cashier is like, wow, this guy's got some poor eating habits. It's like, it's not for me, really. It's not mine. So I just bought bought like $12 worth of just garbage. Threw it all in that ice chest with a couple of Gatorades. Handed it to him. And whatever he didn't eat, I ate for lunch. So, anyway, but just hanging out with him for a while, and he drove out there on his own, so I drove out after. He had to be there an hour early, for warm-ups and stuff. And so I'm driving out there, and he texts me, says, "Hey, I'm going to catch this game." I'm like, "You're playing catcher? You don't play catcher. What in the world?" I think he talked himself into the lineup by telling him, "Oh yeah, I can catch." It's like, you don't catch. What in the world? He caught one game the entire spring season for me because I got someone injured right at the last minute. And I didn't think it was particularly great, to be real honest with you. And if you'd asked me, would I put him in catcher again, I'd be like, well, if I have to break glass and pull an emergency, yeah. But other than that, no. But so he texts me that, and I'm like, okay, this will be interesting. I go out and watch him. I was like, yeah, I wouldn't have put him back there. But anyway, but it was just the fun of watching and just hanging out with him. And I just realized those days are all about to go away. He's got a couple more tournaments I'll go to, and I'll videotape. And after the game, like, he was like, send me the video of that, and we'll talk about it, and we'll talk about other plays, and sometimes we'll just talk about, I don't know, just stuff. Doesn't have anything to do with sports, too, just talking. So I realize that my world's about to change, and that's kind of hard. Some of y'all have been down this road already. You've had them fly, all right? Maybe it's easy for you guys. I don't know. For me, it's been hard. I'm looking at the West. You guys you went through 2 of those over the last 7 years, about 6 years. I don't know. What's that? Yeah, last 3 or 4. And then that was hard, right? Yeah. And some of y'all have had some kids. I know you had 3, right, that have left the nest, and you just had a wedding for one of them. That adds an extra layer to it. I haven't been down that road yet, but there's an extra layer to it there, right? Well, okay, fair enough. But just like the kind of the rite of passage and like things are changing kind of thing, that I think a wedding contributes some to that. Y'all have a daughter married and those kinds of things, and when those kinds of life transitions happen. But y'all just had a wedding. All 3 are married now. That's the first marriage. Okay, so that's interesting. So you got, how was that? First one down. Felt okay. That was okay. Okay. All right. You're seeing 2 more young ladies. Yes. Okay. Well, very good. Yeah, that's all I need is 2 more young ladies too, because I only have 2 sons. But I've checked online and I've looked in some, catalogs and stuff like that. But apparently, they actually have to go out and meet the person. I didn't know. I thought it might be like trying, some other means of which you make life choices. You'd be okay with that. Yeah. So off you go. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, well, no, in fact, I did see the other day advertisement. You've seen these advertisements before too, but apparently there's some Ukrainian women looking for husbands. So I don't know. My kids don't speak Ukrainian, whatever the language is. Ukraine speaks in, I assume they Ukrainian. I don't know. Huh? She's agreed. She's building quite the resume there. So that's good. Yeah, absolutely. Any of y'all have kids you've married off? How many? They still call you and need you money for lunch? Well, I know you talk to your son all the time, because anytime we have a repair up here, you're like, hey, how do you fix this? You call him up like, hey, come fix this thing. So when we have a problem at church, Mike calls his son. Like, hey, we got this issue. Hey, send someone over here and fix this. I'll hear him call him too. He's like, hey, I need a plumber. Give me a plumber over here. Hey, I need drywall fixed, because his son does all this contracting work, and so within 15 minutes, some dude will show up to fix it. I'm like, man, Mike's son's like, that relationship's paying off for you. Yeah. So, but anyway, yeah, it's an interesting world. But yeah, so I'm 5 weeks away from Michael moving out. And Kim and I have teared up a few times about it. But it's interesting, when Austin moved out the first time, and then he's back home doing school at DBU now, but still in college or whatever. But when he moved out the first time, it was a little bit tearful, but it was kind of like, oh, we're okay. This is a good spot for him. But I don't know why, but for Michael, it's been a little bit harder. I don't know. We'll see. I think it'll be fine. But some of you are ready to move out. Yes? You're already ready. Right? Got the apartment picked out. Yeah. Not quite yet. Okay. Well, if at that point, consult with me a little bit, because I'm going through this, like, where should you live and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, let's talk. Yeah, I'll hook you up with Michael. Y'all can talk strategy about this whole move out thing. All right. Yeah. What's that? He's going to live in Melissa, Texas, at a place called TCS. And TCS is a post-grad baseball program where you do some college and do a ton of baseball. But because you're not enrolled full-time, it doesn't count towards your college baseball eligibility. So it gives you a chance to, as long as you don't sign up for more than 12 hours, the clock doesn't start on your college baseball world. And the cool thing is, college baseball, all the college sports will let you have one gap year. That after you graduate from high school, you can take a year. And then after that, your 5-year clock starts. You have 5 years to play for. So out of that, this cottage industry sprung up called post-grad programs, where you'll take 6, 8, 9 hours while doing post-grad program of baseball. It doesn't count as your eligibility, but it's like playing junior college for next year. So that's what he's going to do next year. And so TCS, it's called the Complete Showcase. It's your way of convincing. 98% of their players from last year are playing college baseball this year. So they do a really good job. They play most of the JUCOs in the area, and they literally play them and then say, hey, our shortstop's looking for a place, or that pitcher's looking for a place. And so it's their way of getting those guys placed at college baseball. College baseball is a money-losing proposition as a parent, by the way. There's no money in college baseball. If your kid's 6'5" and 250, teach them to play right guard, not baseball. Wrong sport. Teach them to play, power forward, not baseball. Because there's money in basketball and football. There's no money in baseball. So I always laugh. I'll see this. Because I've been around little kid baseball too. And it's like, our kid's got to do this and this and this because I want him to get a college scholarship. And I always bust out laughing. It's like, there's no money in college baseball. You're in the wrong sport. If you want your kid to get a scholarship in sports, switch sports. You're in the wrong sport. Teach them to play football. Teach them to play basketball. There's no college baseball scholarships. They're tiny. They don't exist. Because of Title IX. Softball has 30 scholarships for college softball teams. College baseball has 11 to spread over 30 plus 40 some odd players. Women's softball, 30 plus scholarships for them. So, yeah. So, young ladies, softball, yes. Yeah, you can do it. Young men, baseball, nothing there. So, it's a money-losing proposition. Like most of parenting, it's a money-losing proposition. Like most of parenting, right? Like the piano lessons and, go down the list. Like most of parenting, it's a money-losing proposition. All right, well, okay, we're in Revelation 5 and the scroll with unbreakable seals. And we looked at this verse last week. I saw in the right hand of him who sat on the throne a scroll written inside and on the back, sealed up with 7 seals. And we talked about this last week. The reason for inside and out seems to be there's so much revelatory information that it's written all over it. Like there's a lot of information here. And then we get this verse. We're going to now move on to chapter 5, verse 2 and 3. We only did one verse last week. We need to cover a couple of verses today. And I saw a strong angel proclaiming with a loud voice, "Who is worthy to open the scroll and to break its seals?" And no one in heaven or on earth or under the earth was able to open the scroll or to look into it. Now, this strong angel shows up 3 times in the book of Revelation. We see him here. We see him in Revelation 10, 1 and 2. 10, 1 and 2 is the small scroll. Remember that? There's a small scroll. And then we have in Revelation 18, 21, he shows up again. So we have two openings of scrolls and the destruction of Babylon. This has led some people to conclude that the content of the two scrolls really is driven around the ultimate destruction of Babylon and all that it represents. And that's why the strong angel, this mighty angel, shows up in those three locations. The opening of one scroll, the opening of another scroll, and the destruction of Babylon. Both scrolls are driven revelatory-wise towards this culmination of the destruction of Babylon. So there's two main themes in the book of Revelation. One is the defeat of evil is personified in the dragon and the Babylon city. And then there's good that is personified in the suffering of the saints, the persecution of those individuals, the plan of God in Jerusalem, and ultimately the marriage of the church to the Lamb. You got these parallel ideas working. And at times it looks like evil's triumphing and good is being trampled. But then there's moments of victory, Revelation 18 and things like that. So this strong angel shows up in these three places in the book of Revelation. This led to some questions. Some even wonder, is this an archangel like Michael or Gabriel? But there's no name provided. And so we don't know. Just this is an angelic being who's been at Lifetime pumping iron. Or 24-hour fitness pumping iron. So a mighty, strong angel. So this guy, I say guy, it could be a female angel, I don't know. Maybe she's lifting weights, I don't know. Whoever, this is someone who's been pumping iron, so it's a strong, mighty angel. So John's impressed. The guy's got muscles on his muscles, and he shows up 3 times in the book of Revelation. And these are the 3 times here, Revelation 10 and Revelation 18. And the 3 times are the 2 scroll openings and the destruction of Babylon. All right, now back to the verse. I saw a strong angel. Now the angel makes a proclamation. This is why some people have thought maybe Michael or Gabriel. Now Gabriel does seem to be the softer side of angelic archangels. Like when he shows up, it's always like really kind stuff. Michael seems to show up when things are more war related, like Gabriel's sent to Mary is like the announcement to Mary, that kind of thing. Like it's more the gentler side of proclamation. And that's why some people thought maybe this is Michael the archangel, because when he shows up, he tends to have this persona of being, a little bit more war-like, more, hey, let's get the swords out and let's go at it kind of guy, right? Or it could be, like I said, just some other strong angel. But he's got a proclamation. And he says this out loud, who is worthy? I say he, I'm assuming a he, but I don't know that it says in here that's a male angel. But who is worthy to open the scroll and to break its seals? And no one in heaven or on earth or under the earth was able to open the scroll or to look into it. Now, here's the thing. The response to this is not like, no one can open it. Okay, next? What are we going to do now? Since someone can open it, I guess we'll do something else. Game of Monopoly, maybe? I don't know. We can't open the scroll, so let's do something else. But the response to the fact that the scroll can't get open is devastation. People are like, oh, we got to open this. And it does lead to a little bit of the question, like, why is this so significant? But I think it goes back to Revelation 4, when we're told, John is told, I'm going to show you what things must take place. And so the whole point of this book of Revelation is, in fact, Revelation. And the revelation is about these future events. And so John it's been building to this. He's gotten lots of revelatory information about the 7 churches, and now it's come up here, and we're going to see about these end time things, or these other things, future things. And so John's like, okay. And it's like, well, those future things are in that scroll, but you can't get in there. You ever locked yourself out of your office or out of your home? Like you desperately want to get. When I was a kid, I locked myself out of my house several times. Like I would leave and forget the key, and our door was one of those handles that would turn from the inside, but when you pulled it closed on the outside, it would lock. It was such a setup for a 10-year-old, because I would just forget. I'd open the door. If I'd gotten to it and it wouldn't open, I'd been like, oh, I got to have a key. But I would get to it and open it, and then as a 10-year-old, I just wouldn't think anything. I'd close it, and then about 3 p.m., I'd come home from school, back then you would actually walk home from the elementary school. But anyway, I'd walk home from school, and I get there, and then dawn on me, I don't have a key, and I would be stuck outside the house for 2 hours, 3 hours waiting on some adult, a brother or my parents, to come home with a key. And you're just like, you're desperate, like, I just want to get in the house. Well, I think this is where John is. I just want to hear what these future things are. And now we're at this point where it's like, okay, there's the scroll. Here's the scroll. We're ready now to hear it. And it's like, no one can open it. And I think that's why John's so devastated. He's like, oh, it's like he begins to weep. It does seem like a little bit of, you're being a little melodramatic here, John. Why don't you tap back on the drama? But he's like overwhelmed with this, because this has all been building to this moment of his encounter with God, his encounter with the worship of the triune God, all this kind of stuff. And now this triune God's now going to reveal all these future things, and no one can open the scroll to let you know what's in there. And John's devastated. He's like, oh. And so I think we could understand a little bit of this. So the question is, someone has to be worthy. The word worthy has already shown up several times in this text. The word worthy seems to not be, though, just like a moral or spiritual sense, but also about sufficient power or authority. Someone worthy, like the angel, this mighty angel, I think is morally or spiritually pretty far down the road in terms of being capable of doing things. So it also seems to be someone who has sufficient power and authority. So the angel may be morally pure enough to open the scroll, but he doesn't have authority. He's not in a position to say, here's the divine plan of God unfolding. His goal is simply to serve in that divine plan, not to reveal it. So not to disclose it. The final authority of that is left with the Son. So the question's asked, who is worthy? And sometimes we think about worthy meaning like morally pure enough, because of things like this, like in the case of the prodigal son. Remember that? When the kid comes home, he says, I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. And the reason he's saying this is because of the moral failings of squandering his father's money and the immoral actions while he was gone. And so when he comes back, he's like, I'm not worthy to be called your son. So a lot of times the word worthy is used in that sense, but it does seem to me, well, also a couple of commentators I'm reading, is that the worthy here is also not just about moral purity, but about a sufficient authority, power, that these are someone with sufficient power to open this, sufficient authority to open this, and that kind of thing. So, all right. And so no one is worthy. There is no legitimate substitute found. No one who can come and fulfill this other than one. There's only one person worthy. And so the Father has the revelatory information about the future is in the scroll. There's this encounter at the throne. They're worshiping him. Now it's time for revelation. Here's the scroll. All we got to do is have someone who can open it. And they're looking around. It's like, there's no one here or anywhere we can find that's worthy to open the scroll. And so that's when we get verse 4. Then I began to weep greatly. So John's devastated by this. And, he's been building up to this for quite a while. He's been building up to this moment like he's going to find out about the future. And so he's been building up for quite a while. And so he's beside himself wanting to know what this is. I told you, I do this to Kim, where I did this just the other day. I told you I did this to her a couple of weeks ago. I did this the other day. I had put her, she'd asked me to warm something up. And she got this new air fryer thingy. Like we used to have a toaster, like just a toaster thing, but this thing's like fancy. Like it makes me a little nervous. Because when it's done, it like warns you. It's still really hot to the touch. So I'm nervous about this thing. But I had put some food in there to heat up. And then I went back to the room. I'm talking to her. And it'd been a while. And I had forgotten about it. I was afraid, the kitchen's going to be on fire. So I go sprinting out of the room. I'm like, oh, no. And go sprinting out of the room. Well, Kim's like, what's wrong? Like she's yelling after me like, wait, what's wrong? And then I go in there, it's like, oh, it clicked off after 3 minutes. I'd set it for 3 minutes. It's okay. I didn't burn it. And so I brought her food. It was for her anyway. And I went, sorry, I just thought I burned your food. She goes, don't do that to me. You keep doing that to me. You're running out of the room, screaming like something devastating's happened, and then you don't tell me. And so I'm standing here waiting on you to come back and tell me what you were so upset about, and only to find out that you're bringing my dinner with you. So, but I think for John, it's like, there's all this buildup, and then it's like, there's something really important I need to tell you, and then out the door. It's like, wait, what? No, come back. What are you doing? No, I want to know what it is that's so important here. What's this piece of information? And so John is devastated. He begins to weep greatly because no one was found worthy to open the scroll or look into it. He really wants to know what's in there. This has been building. And then one of the elders, so the elders show up. Remember, there are 24 elders. If they're in the end of chapter 4, they're worshiping. And we have angelic beings and we have elders worshiping in Revelation chapter 4. One of those 24. Now, we talked about who are these 24 elders. Remember that? We talked about that. Are they 12 representing the 12 tribes of Israel and 12 representing the 12 apostles? And I told you before that if that's the case, my son, even when he was a kid, when we were reading through the book of Revelation, because he liked, when he was younger, when we'd read the Bible at night, he would always say, read from the book of Revelation. Now, I wouldn't do that very often because he just wanted to hear about dragons and fire and war and all that. He's a 10-year-old boy, you know. It's like, hey, bring on the warfare. I took him to London with me once, and we spent a ton of time at the Tower of London. And at the Tower of London, they have all these weapons and knights, and he bought these books too because he's quite the reader. Well, I guess he was 12. He was 12 at the time. He's quite the reader, so he's buying these books, and all the books are on medieval warfare, and so but he would make me read from the book of Revelation because it was kind of in that same vein. Like, hey, we're going to read the Bible, read from Revelation. And at one point, you know, he was the 24 elders, and he's like, who are these people? And we were talking about it, and he's like, that means John saw himself if he's one of the 24, right? And then it did make me wonder on this one, as I read this, one of the elders like, well, maybe John came over there and went, hey, past me, stop crying about this. This is all going to be okay. I don't know. I'm speculating. I'm just saying, like, you could imagine, like, John, the future John, heavenly John, going, oh boy, I got to get control here. I got to be a little bit more emotionally more stable than this. So does he go over and tell himself, his past self, hey, stop weeping. It's going to be okay. But anyway, stop weeping. Behold, the lion that is from the tribe of Judah, the root of David, has overcome so as to be able to open the scroll and its 7 seals. All right, so this Lion of Judah, who is this? Well, in Genesis chapter 49, we'll take a quick look in some biblical history here. Genesis 49 is a very significant chapter in the book of Genesis because it is when Jacob, now known as Israel, is going to give some final words to his 12 knuckle-headed kids, right? There's been some good, there's been some not so good, and somehow God is still going to keep his promises despite the not so good, which seems to outnumber the good, just from my perspective. I may be being harsh about this, but when I read the book of Genesis, I don't walk away from it going, oh, those 12 kids, we're definitely changing the world for good with those 12. Instead, I walk away from it going, I don't know how this is going to work out because these guys seem to not be doing so well with this stuff. But anyway, so this is final blessings on these kids, right? And this is what he says, as for you, so this is Israel, or Jacob, right? The father Jacob. Judah, your brother shall praise you. Your hand shall be on the neck of your enemies. Your father's sons shall bow down to you. And then he says this, Judah is a lion cub. From the prey, my son, you have gone up. He crouches, he lies down as a lion, and as a lion who dares to stir him up. The scepter will not depart from Judah, nor the ruler's staff from between his feet, until Shiloh comes, and to him shall be the obedience of the peoples. So, during the midst of this final discussion by Jacob and his 12 sons, when he comes to Judah and he's going to say something over Judah, he announces him to be a lion and that he will be a ruler. The scepter will not depart, and that all the other brothers will wind up worshiping or in obedience to him. So we get this promise to the tribe of Judah. And that's why Jesus is referred to as the Lion of Judah. He's from the tribe of Judah. Now, if you know your biblical history, there are 12 tribes of Israel, or 12 tribes of Jacob, 12 sons of Jacob, make 12 tribes of Israel, of which 10 belong to what's called the northern kingdom, or historically referred to sometimes as Israel and Judah. And the 10 northern tribes get destroyed by Assyria, 722 BC. The two southern tribes are two southern tribes, one of which is Judah and the other which is Benjamin. Those two southern tribes make up the nation known as Judah, or the southern kingdom. And Jesus comes from one of those two tribes, the tribe of Judah. Someone else, though, comes from the tribe of Judah, and it's really important. And that is, when the first king of Israel is selected, that king's named Saul, and he is also from one of the two southern surviving tribes, but he's from the tribe of Benjamin. He's from Benjamin. But Judah is the tribe from which King David will come. And David is from the tribe of Judah. And so in Isaiah 11, this is now after King David. This is about, 700. This is 300 years after David, give or take a decade or two, okay? Just nice round numbers. David, 1000 BC, Isaiah, 700 BC, about. Just nice round numbers. Okay, so Isaiah is now writing, and he's actually, is a little bit sooner than that because the northern kingdom hadn't been completely destroyed. He's writing this right as the northern kingdom is about to be completely annihilated. It says this, then a shoot will spring forth from the stem of Jesse, and a branch from his roots will bear fruit. The Spirit of the Lord will rest on him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and strength, the Spirit of knowledge and the fear of the Lord. And then verse 10, then on that day the nations will resort to the root of Jesse, who will stand as a signal flag for the peoples, and his resting place, I'm assuming what's meant by this for Isaiah is the empty tomb, his resting place, will be glorious. Normally, the resting place would be somber or sorrowful. Instead, the resting place of this king will be glorious. In other words, we'll go to the empty tomb and celebrate what God has done. And so this language then, now back to Revelation chapter 4, it says, then I began to weep greatly because no one was found worthy to open the scroll or to look into it. And one of the elders said to me, stop weeping. Behold, the Lion that is of the tribe of Judah, the root of David, has overcome so as to be able to open the scroll and its 7 seals. And so all of this kind of ties together then. Yes, Don. Okay, hang on, just say, since we're on Facebook Live, you mind asking that into the microphone real quick?
We have it on TV too.
Yeah, because they can't, people that are watching on Facebook Live can't hear. Go ahead, ask the question again.
This is going to show my ignorance, but does that have any relationship to Judah Ben-Hur?
No.
None.
I don't think so, no.
Okay.
Good question.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so this tribe of Judah, this is really a reference to the offspring of Israel, the son of Israel or Jacob, and this promise given to him in Genesis 49. Now, the name, though, does come from the other historical person you mentioned.
Oh.
Yeah, I think he draws his name from that, okay, and not the other way around.
Okay.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. All right. So we have like 90 seconds. And are there any other questions? That's good. Other questions? I've been talking a lot today. It's bad. It's a bad sign. All right, so for next week, we'll pick up now in verse 6. We're now ready. We're now ready for the Lion of Judah, the offspring of David, to show up and get the scroll and break the seals and start reading. So we're almost ready for the book to get opened and start reading and start figuring this stuff out. And this is when life is going to get super duper hard because we got a lot of heavy lifting, all right? And I'm already reading the commentaries every week. I will read with more intensity than ever before once we step into chapter 6, because I think things are going to get super hard. I'm telling you guys, I've never taught Revelation cover to cover before. You're the guinea pigs. So I'm going to mess up a bunch. You're going to correct me. I'm going to figure some stuff out. And then the next time I do it, I'll just make half the number of mistakes. And then the time after that, maybe half again. So by the time I've taught it maybe 10 times through, I'll be about 80% accurate, maybe. It was John Calvin who once said, a good theologian is right 80% of the time. I don't think I'm there yet with the book of Revelation, so I'm not a good theologian, at least not in the book of Revelation. I'll give it a shot, though, okay? We'll work on it together. All right, well, let's pray together, and then we'll reconvene this discussion next week when the Lion of Judah is going to show up and take the scroll. So, yeah. All right, let's pray together. God, you are good and merciful and kind. Thank you for your mercy and love and grace. Be glorified in our lives and all things. In the name of Christ, amen.